The human brain remains one of the most fascinating and enigmatic organs in the body. It is responsible for our thoughts, emotions, and actions. Despite years of research, it remains largely mysterious, and scientists are constantly working to unravel its secrets. Among the areas of interest is the study of the brains of the world's deadliest killers. Let's dive into the frightening world of brain studies that focus on notorious killers. First, let's start with the anatomy of the brain. The study of brain anatomy has been a crucial aspect of understanding how the human brain works. The human brain comprises several regions, each responsible for specific functions. The amygdala, the prefrontal cortex, the hippocampus, and the hypothalamus are the regions of interest when looking into a killer's brain. The amygdala, for instance, is responsible for processing emotions such as fear, anxiety, and aggression, all of which are often associated with criminal behavior. One of the most famous cases is that of Charles Whitman, a former Marine who killed 16 people and injured 31 others in a shooting spree at the University of Texas in 1966. After his death, an autopsy revealed a tumor in his brain that may have contributed to his behavior. But let's also take into consideration the role of genetics. Research shows that genetics play a crucial role in shaping human behavior. Studies found a genetic link between violent behavior and certain genes that affect the regulation of serotonin and dopamine in the brain. These two neurotransmitters are responsible for regulating mood, emotion, and motivation, and a deficiency in their production can lead to violent behavior. One study conducted on the MAOA gene found a link between its low activity and violent behavior. This gene is responsible for breaking down neurotransmitters such as serotonin and dopamine. The study also found that individuals with low MAOA activity were more likely to exhibit violent behavior, especially when exposed to adverse childhood experiences. So obviously, genetics play a significant role in the development of violent behavior, but it still isn't an excuse for the psychotic things that these killers do. This research should be done to everyone as part of their yearly physical checks so that we can catch developing killers before it gets too late. Advances in technology have enabled researchers to study the brain in unprecedented detail. Neuroimaging techniques such as functional magnetic resonance imaging, or fMRI, and positron emission tomography, PET, have allowed researchers to map the brain's activity and detect abnormalities that may contribute to criminal behavior. Studies using these techniques have found abnormalities in the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for decision-making and impulse control in the brains of killers. One study conducted in 1998 used PET scans to compare the brains of murderers and non-murderers. The study found that murderers had reduced glucose metabolism in the prefrontal cortex, suggesting a deficiency in decision-making and impulse control. The study also found increased glucose metabolism in the amygdala, suggesting a heightened emotional response in murderers. What this study tells us is that there can be some direct effects of hormone imbalances that cause murderers to be more reactive in their emotional states. Anders Breivik is a convicted mass murderer who killed 77 people and injured over 300 others in a bombing and shooting spree in Norway in 2011. After his arrest, he underwent a psychiatric evaluation, which included a brain scan using fMRI. The scan revealed abnormalities in several regions of his brain, including the amygdala, which, to remind you, is involved in processing emotions. Ultimately, the study of brain anatomy is crucial for understanding human behavior and developing effective treatments for brain disorders. The identification of specific regions of the brain responsible for various functions has been instrumental in advancing our understanding of how the brain works and how it can be affected by injury or disease. How would you go about using this information to make sure that a majority of killers are stopped?